Okay, I probably got asked this question years ago, but I'm gonna settle it again now. We're gonna go to September 10th, 2001. There was a parking lot in the community college I went to, and I actually never ever went into this parking lot again until years later when I was getting my second degree, and I had to pick my degree up, my second degree, years later. This parking lot, it was a giant tree where the entrance and exit of the parking lot is, and the tree branch would block the road, and you would actually pull out into the road that would bring you to other parking lots, other parts of the campus, etc., right? The community college is a big green area with a bunch of different buildings and a bunch of connecting roadways and a bunch of parking lots. Now, as I cut out, it was a car coming. Now, the car wasn't anywhere near me, but the rules of the road, you still got to yield right away when the car, okay. And there's a county cop there. Next thing you know, I'm going home out of the exit to the college itself. And when I get in the street, the cop pulls me over and he wants to know what's going on. Like, you failed to yield right away, son. Stuff like that. He wasn't an asshole. County cop. So I told him the story. I said, that fucking tree's in everybody's way, man. And it was, because when I made the turn, the guy coming down the road didn't even beep me. And many times I was driving down there and the guy would cut in front of me and I didn't beep at all. Because the tree was such a pain in the ass that the tree's such a pain in the ass that we didn't even get mad at each other when we cut each other off. We knew it was the tree's fault. So the guy said, okay, that's what I'll do. I'll tell the college to cut the tree branches. Didn't give me a ticket, didn't shoot me. Okay? Guys, cops aren't all bad. Relax, okay? Oh, by the way, get your inspection updated. Shit. He didn't give me a ticket. He did not give me a ticket. My inspection had just expired. Shit. So I tell my parents. And the next day, September 11th, I have a class in the late afternoon. My mother and father, they drive the cars to the inspection place. They drop off my car. My father and my mother get in my mother's car, drive to her office at police headquarters. My father drives back, picks me up, brings me to college, because we only in the day. Right? Now, this is back in the day when we had an inspection, the mechanic had to look at the car. And you had a whole bunch of other cars to look at, okay? You could have a fucking car being inspected for 10 hours back then. Because the car's got to be inspected, plus 10 other cars. Nowadays, you go to the car guy, he puts the app on, hooks to a computer, hits a button, and in 3 seconds the car's inspected. Not like that back then. 99 Jeep Cherokee had regular Cherokee, not Grand Cherokee. Now, while my mother goes to work, my father's coming home to bring me to community college, because they gotta do pick the car up in a day, blah, 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 blah. My mother calls and says a plane flew into the World Trade Center. Now, how many times when I was younger, how many times now do you see some asshole in a little ass biplane who just got his license or is drunk and he crashed into some place? Okay? And I'm thinking to myself, how fucking dumb are you? You crash into a building that big. You cannot see that big fucking building in front of you. That's how stupid you are. And then I began thinking, one of my favorite movies of all time, one of the greatest movies of all time, The Towering Inferno, about a fire inside of a skyscraper. It's a good movie. Steve McQueen plays the fire chief. Now, in real life, there was an actual fire at the World Trade Center the day that movie opened in the movie theaters. September 11th, 1974. Okay? Now, Steve McQueen says in that movie, there's no sure way for us to fight a fire above the 7th floor. How the hell are you going to fight a fire in a skyscraper that high up? That's my question. I go downstairs, me and my father, get in the car. The radio's on. The second plane had just hit. As I was coming down, the plane had hit. Now, obviously, I think by the time the second plane had hit, I think only the stupidest Democrat in the world thought it was an accident. The first plane was like, what the fuck is going on here? The second plane, like, yeah, that was deliberate. There's no way that's a coincidence. I don't think anybody in their right mind that was a coincidence at that point. And then when I went to college, and when I said for the class to open up, guy comes by, a plane crashed into the Pentagon. What the fuck? And then we have payphones. There were actual payphone pay booths in the college, this building, this area. And it was called the Tech Building. Still there by this day. Now, most guys were off the payphone at the time. These payphones have been there for a couple of years. But because our phones are wired to the World Trade Center, we gotta use a payphone. Call my mother. Any updates? Towers are gone. But no, the towers are gone. The tower, the whole building, yeah, they're gone. Both buildings collapsed. And like, what? How? And then when you logically sit down and take a deep breath and look at it, you're like, wait a minute, okay, the fire is burning so intense, and then one floor collapses, and then yeah. But at first, you're like, huh? You can't connect it. And that was it. I got home. And I had friends that, my father picked me up. They picked the car up. We brought the car home. And I had friends that didn't want to go to school that day or the next day. Their parents. My mother told me, don't go out today. The next day, my mother said, don't go out. In fact, I got a call from a college professor who was actually a sniper in World War II. He said, where are you? I said, I'm home. Why didn't you come to school today? I mean, the World Trade Center, my mother told me to stay home for a day. Not to mourn, not to do the little flag thing, but just because, what if thing goes wrong? Because at the time the events were going on, we were told there's 50 planes were hijacked. We were told they're going to blow up one of the bridges. We were told they're going to invade it was just the rumor mill and the fear and panic were actually worse than the actual attacks. Every 2 seconds, someone was saying, what if they bomb this place next? What if they bomb that place next? What if they do this next? What if it's one of the tunnels or the buildings or what if the bridge, This was really going on in our minds. Like, how many planes are missing? Are there any planes unaccounted for? That's what it was. Now, my first cousin, he was in the center on the second building, the floor the plane hit. He was talking to his father, and they feel a rupture. And they see, from their side of the building, I don't know what their side was, but their side of the building, smoke, fire. They smell, what's going on? And why is that building shaking? And why is there smoke over there? And my uncle, his father, I don't know if my uncle called or if he was on the phone with my uncle for a personal call. But he's on the phone with my uncle eventually. And my uncle says, get the fuck out right now. Get the fuck out. Now, our uncle by marriage, his mother's sister's husband, our uncle by marriage, right, was also in that vicinity. He's working also. They work together. And they both ran downstairs together. And by the time they got down to the ground, the second plane had hit. Right above where they were. They had just barely gotten out of the building. If he had just stayed behind, he would have been dead. Or if one plane got there before the other, he would have been dead. And I had a couple of cousins, this guy, that guy, this person, they were in that vicinity, that area. They lived in the block. I heard all the stories. My college had a memorial, and one of the guys that spoke at the memorial, his uncle was a computer technician in the buildings. His car didn't start, okay? A guy I went to high school with, he was dorming at one of the colleges down there, where the fuck they were. And he was gonna go to drop off a job application in one of the stores that was in the Trade Center at the time, and his alarm clock didn't go off. Okay, so I heard some real freaky shit about my alarm clock didn't go off, my car wouldn't start, I got delayed for this other thing. And you've seen people come out all the time, I missed the plane for 9/11. I switched out this plane the last minute, or I did this in the last minute. Seth MacFarlane from Family Guy, okay? He got drunk and passed out and didn't get on the plane to go on 9/11. Okay, so I heard every freaky story you can hear. Whose car didn't start, who missed the plane, who was stuck in traffic, who went the other way. I mean, it was just so fucking freaky. I didn't know anybody personally killed that day, but I knew a million guys were down there. Now, when I say personally killed, we had a couple of cops from my hometown that went down voluntarily. Now, I'm not going to say the film. Okay, I'll tell you what it is. It's public. Did you see the HBO series Show Me a Hero? The mayor, his wife. The show's been out for a while now. It's a true story about my hometown. The mayor committed suicide. When he committed suicide, his wife remarried a cop. That cop is now a very, very high-ranking cop. I think he may have retired, but he was a very high-ranking cop. A whole family of cops. A lot of that. This is Yonkers, not New York City. Now, the big brother who married the mayor's widow is a cop. His next younger brother is a cop. The sister is started out as my mom's assistant. Then became a dispatcher. Then became a cop. Then became a sergeant. Then took the lieutenant's test and was on the hiring list. Her brother was. They're all older than me, but at the time her brother was. Okay. The brother later on was 38. Now, as a young cop, he had gone down on his day off to volunteer at the World Trade Center area. And a lot of cops from a lot of different cities and towns and villages all over New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania were going in on their day off to volunteer at 9/11. And this guy was like a 23-year-old cop volunteering at 9/11. Fast forward to years later, his older brother is married to the mayor's widow. He is lieutenant. His sister is now a sergeant on the lieutenant's hiring list, blah, 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 promotion list. His sister, my mother's assistant, who's now a sergeant, she brings him to my mother's office. He had 9/11 related cancer. The odds of his survival was very, 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 very low. I mean, there's always hoping for a miracle, but it was like single digit shit. And he told my mother, you have to help me with my pension and my finances for my children. He had 2 little kids. And he died of the 9/11 cancer. And he, another one of our friends, and then another fireman, all died of 9/11 illnesses from my hometown. And they're counted as 9/11 casualties. In fact, his death anniversary, the lieutenant, was, I think, yesterday. No, today was his death anniversary, I think. He died right before the anniversary of 9/11. And this guy was 38. He had 2 little kids, and he died of 9/11 illnesses. And his sister was on the lieutenant's promotion list. Now, when one captain retires, they bring a lieutenant up to a captain. Or dies, whatever the hell. When a lieutenant dies or retires, they bring up a sergeant. Okay? You have to be on the hiring list, and they bring you up. You know, because there are like X amount of captains, X amount of lieutenants, X amount of sergeants, X amount of chiefs, X amount of detectives. Okay? There are like X number of blah, 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 blah. Okay? So when one retires or dies, they leave for whatever reason, and someone lower down is promoted up to fill their void. And he died of 9/11 illnesses. His sister's on the hiring list, on the promotion list to be lieutenant. And the literal next day after the older brother died, the sister was promoted to lieutenant to fill his void. And that was done they were going to promote her anyway, but they did it the day after he died. Because the department and the mayor decided they needed to move on. They needed to make sure there was a symbolic gesture that was kind of like, okay, John Chapman, his last stand. Okay, John Chapman knew he wasn't going to live. There's no question he was going to die. But he made his last stand because he wanted to show the terrorists we're not going to take your shit. Well, moving the sergeant to lieutenant was a symbolic gesture of saying, we're going to continue forward. We're going to carry on. One dies, the other takes their place. That's what that was. It was a symbolic thing. Okay. That's about it. Thank you.